Yeah, they fell for it. Yeah, I just needed some time to finish my bagel and coffee before stream. The camera worked fine. Yeah, hold on, I'm gonna unmute. Hey, people. How we doing? I'm back. Didn't think I'd be back this soon, but I'm back. Hey, hey. What's up? Yo. The um the camera problem fixed itself like right after stream ended. Seriously, it was doing this incompatible battery bullshit, and then after the stream ended, I was like, okay, I gotta go to Best Buy because Amazon orders won't come in time, and I just turned it back on and it worked. So I don't know if it's gonna break during the stream. I have no idea. I do not know. How are we doing? I'm glad we can stream today because it actually had to be a little bit of a short stream, and I'm glad I don't want to skip out on like a short stream. I feel like I'm being doubly lazy there. VTube Barak? Yeah, I gotta pay for a really nice VTube rig. I would do it. I would do it for sure, for sure. Me and my GF broke up, so I'm half your stream Vosh. Ah, Peyton, I'm sorry, comrade. It'll get better, okay? It'll get better, I swear. Oh man, we have so much to talk about. I say that every time. I actually think we have a normal amount to talk about today, but what a wonderful day it is anyway. How are we doing? Can we how we spend so little time together these days. How about a couple minutes? How are we doing? What's on your mind, folks? Talk about the Super League? Have no idea what you're talking about. Destiny drama. What am I, his babysitter? Tell them about the spider. Oh yeah, also it's a good thing that I delayed my stream start because I had to save Hyena from a spider. Playing some Monster Hunter Rise. Yeah, I just don't want to play on the Switch. I want to play on the PC, the fucking computer, okay? Monster Hunter World was a lot of fun. When they port Rise to the PC, I really hope that it has graphics settings which are more in line with a PC game than a Switch game. Look, I like Switch. I like the Switch games, okay? They're fine. They're good. But yeah, I want to play it on a PC. It's actually pretty good on the Switch, not as bad as you would think. No, 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 I've seen footage. It looks really, really good. I'm not denying that. It's just, yeah. I know I can hook it up to my monitor and play with a controller, but I want it to be a computer game. You know? I want it to be a computer game. You should get a Conti VTube rig. I wonder how hard I can push this Conti thing before Studio Gynax sues me. Or I get a cease and desist letter. Oh, God. Is Outer Wilds done? No. I also play video games myself. You have to box a former U.S. president, living or dead, 10 rounds, 3 minutes each. You have 6 months to train. They get teleported to the ring, but they're in their prime, whatever condition that is. I feel like I could do I could do okay against most presidents, right? Yeah. Well, no, you're fighting them in their prime. So I assume FDR and Taft would be back when they were at the peak of their fitness, you know? Yeah, you know what? Hmm. You could do Trump. Trump's a big guy. Back when Trump was like 25, I bet he was pretty strong. I don't know, because I don't know presidents in their prime. My mental image of presidents is when they're like 70 years old. I don't know what they looked like in their prime. I bet some of them were little skinny fat twigs, and I bet some of them were like rippling muscular lawyers or something. James Madison was 5'3". Oh shit. Looks like we may have found a contender. James Madison, people, 5'3". That's not very much reach, okay? You can take shots, they can't hit you back. Oof. There's never going to be a 5'3" president again, not now that we have televisions. Whew. Bernie would have won. Dude, Bernie back in his prime. Hold on, wait. Bernie Sanders young. I feel like young Bernie Sanders had a lot of spunk. You know what I mean? Look at this. Is this young? This is like 40, but I feel like this is a Rocky pose, okay? He had a lot of spunk. He was a scrappy guy, you know? I feel like not a big like muscle titan, but I feel like he would have given it his all, you know? Yeah. This is like probably like 40 or 45 or something, but yeah. Biden was a buff himbo. Yeah. Biden was like muscular back then. Yeah. Bernie has always been old. True. Look at this. Putting this baby in a sleeper hold back when he's like 30 or whatever. Oh my god, the strength. That's how you know. No remorse, okay? No remorse whatsoever on Bernie, okay? He'll take you down. He doesn't care. You're a baby, not a baby. It's all the same to him. He'll kill you. It's true. Vasha, you uploaded the new Tucker Carlson video at a bad time. Do the algorithm better? Yeah, I didn't think I'd be streaming today. I thought I uploaded it after the stream got canceled. What do you think about Destiny debating Richard Wolff on Wednesday? I'm good, right? I don't agree with Richard Wolff on everything, but I agree with him on a lot. It's nice to see those ideas tested. You should only ever be happy when stuff like that happens. If nothing else, it gives you an opportunity or an avenue to see your ideas challenged. And if you disagree with those challenges, then okay, there you go. Keep whatever positions you had before. What don't you agree with Richard Wolff? Richard Wolff, in his famous lecture on what socialism is, said that the socialism is when the government does more things. And I disagree. I actually think socialism is collective ownership that means production. But, you know. You all know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Can you explain why socialism is better than social democracy? Yeah, I can. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want me to? No, fuck you. I'll do it later. We talk about that every other stream. Doesn't Richard Wolff shill for the CCP? I think he does the critical support thing a little bit more than I would. You guys do have to understand. So this isn't something that I have the opportunity to talk about that often, because I feel like every time you debate a person, their positions are so stupid and so extreme that it's really difficult to like carve out any nuance there. But we talk about how bad China is, and China's really, really bad. So is the USSR. America's also super bad. I hope you guys know that I know that. I hope that's like a position we all generally hold, that we don't like America either. And some socialists are of the opinion, even if they dislike the CCP, that this is sort of like a two asteroids colliding type of situation. That what they're hoping is to balance the geopolitical power between China and America, so that rather than one of them taking over the world, they sort of like, they do the Dragon Ball Z like laser beam collide, you know, that way that not like neither one of them wins. So there are some people who hold to that position. I think that's a fairly defensible position, for a number of reasons. I'm more optimistic about the potential for America being neutered than China, because America is at the very least something of a democracy, but there's some nuance there. There is. You know what I mean? Is it possible for Vosh to explain something without referencing anime? No, it actually isn't. It's completely gone from that perspective, you know? I'm new to knowing who Destiny is. When he's talking to Sanderhall, he sounds really pissed at socialists. Why does he like this? Destiny, all of his political engagement is driven specifically by spite, and he hates socialists right now more than he's ever hated any group of people ever. I don't know why, but when he talks about it on Twitter, he sounds like an angry and opinionated teenager, so probably best not to give it too much attention. That's all I really have to say. I don't know. Destiny's definition for socialism is somebody who is economically illiterate, so when market socialists step up, he's like, well, if I acknowledge these people are socialists, I have to take back some of my earlier arguments, so you're actually liberals. It's just a whole thing. There's not really much engaging with it. Did I see his trans takes? Yeah, I think they're pretty stupid and irresponsible. I don't know what else to say beyond that. Destiny was essentially sort of emboldening the trans panic defense. The idea that if you take a girl home and you start engaging in sexual activity with her, and it turns out she is a dick and she didn't disclose that beforehand, that's rape, or like that she like raped you or attempted raped you. That's a pretty yikesy position. I think that generally speaking, it's always a good idea to disclose stuff like that to a person that you're going to hook up with, because well, it's more for safety than anything. If you're a trans woman, if you've got a dick, you probably don't want to get yourself trans panic defensed. So disclosing that sort of thing is probably helpful. However, comparing it to rape, I think, is absolutely ridiculous. Because we're not talking about a person who lied about their genitalia. We're talking about a person who just didn't disclose it. And And the problem is that, like, if you consider something rape, in America at least, you can kill a person to prevent yourself from being raped. Or, like, the crime of attempted rape is something which people generally consider to warrant violent response. So this is essentially like the trans panic defense, that if you're sleeping with a girl or, like, she's sucking your dick and then it turns out she is a dick, like, you can freak out, like, beat the shit out of her, you know? So, yeah, not exactly a great argument, I'd say. Isn't it a consent thing too? Informed consent is important, but it's also a tricky thing, and it's possible to withhold things from a person you're sleeping with without it being rape. Obviously. Here's a really good example. There was once a case in Israel where a man slept with a woman, and the man was Palestinian, but he lied and said that he was Israeli. When the woman found out that she had slept with a Palestinian, she had him charged with rape, because she didn't want to sleep with a Palestinian. She wanted to sleep with an Israeli. Now, I ask all of you, is that rape? Because to me, if you say that's rape, you're enabling some really, really, really bad positions. See, at the end of the day, if we're all rational logic lords, you know, if you're getting your dick sucked by a woman, and then you move further along, and it turns out she is a penis, and you're not into that, the responsible thing to do there, of course, is to say, oh, hey, I'm sorry, I misunderstood, I didn't realize, you know, not a big deal here, just this isn't really my preference, do you want an Uber home, whatever. I think that's a reasonable response. Really, the extent to which a person can consider this a violation of another's consent really comes down to the extent to which people care about this sort of thing. Now, genital differences, people care a lot about that. You know, like whether dick or vagina, that's important to people. But the problem is, other things are important to people as well. Some people only want to fuck with rich people. Some people are racist and only want to fuck with people of a given racial or ethnic group. And the problem is, if you enable the idea that a person not disclosing a piece of information that their partner assumed means that they're being raped when you have sex with them, you're kind of enabling the idea that people who have significant racial or class biases could accuse a person of rape for them not disclosing that information either. Why would you have a racial preference? I'm not endorsing this. Do you understand the analogy that I'm making here? The idea is that if it's rape to not disclose something, what if you're half black, but you pass as white, and then later the woman that you fucked realizes you're half black, and that makes them feel disgusted because they're super duper racist? Is that rape? Well, I would say no, probably not. It certainly wouldn't like if the guy admitted it mid-sex, like, yeah, I'm half black, and then the woman like was like, oh my god, I'm being raped, and like try to beat the shit out of him or tase him or something, that's probably a bad thing. So yeah, long story short, it's a stupid take. Lying about dick size, true. But anyway, it doesn't matter because I sincerely doubt that Destiny actually believes the shit he's saying on Twitter. He's saying stupid and inflammatory stuff so he can bait people into a conversation where he'll spend 3 hours backtracking off the most hyperbolic statements he made on Twitter, make a much more reasonable take, and in the meanwhile, he'll ban about 700 people from his community who had the audacity to believe the first set of things that he said. It's not the first time he's done this. But Destiny speaks for things that have real consequences in the sexual interaction. That's a completely subjective determination. If all you've done is like you see the person you're with take their pants off and they don't have the genitals that you expected, they're not like all you did was what, see a dick that you didn't expect to see? Some people would make that same argument about race. Some people have incredibly strongly held beliefs about the necessity of maintaining the purity of their bloodline, and that would have extreme consequences to them in their sexual interaction. So at the end of the day, we're ultimately hinging this on to what extent do people care about this sort of thing? Maybe in a couple hundred years, people will have basically no genital preferences, and this won't even be a thing people talk about. I don't know. But in the meantime, the worst I can say about situations like this is that it's probably like if you're misleading a person about the genitals you have kind of by like not mentioning it but implicitly suggesting it in one direction or another, I'd say that's like shitty. But if it doesn't come up and you don't lie, I can't really call it rape. I mean, should a trans person who's had bottom surgery and passes even naked have to disclose that they're trans? Because a lot of people, they really, really care about what your chromosomes are. A lot of people, if they find out that you're trans, even if you are, I mean, head to toe passing, I mean, from, you know, every inch of your body passing, should you have to disclose that? Is it rape for you not to disclose that? By Destiny's logic, yeah, because there are a lot of people who really fucking care about that sort of thing. If the argument is that for some reason we're isolating the rape factor exclusively to genital preferences, which I think is highly arbitrary, I still question, I think that's a very disingenuous comparison. Is that everything to say? Did we do it? Did we cover the entirety of the take? Did we nail it? All right. All right, we're done. Nicely done, people. Well done. I'm happy to hear that, Sushi Cuddle. You're being rhetorically irresponsible. You haven't made it clear that all sex is bad yet. True. To be fair, all sex is unethical. Consent, non-consent, all of it's bad. So we're really digging in the trenches here. Like we're well past the actual baseline moral positions we should be taking. Just to be perfectly clear with that. You all get it. He's just losing it though. We're detaching ourselves from DGG, okay? The road that Destiny has gone down, especially in the past couple of months, has been exceptionally disappointing. And there's his community at this point is just there for the blood sports, I don't think. I remember a couple years ago, his community held him to bad positions that he held, like, fairly rigorously. But nowadays, when he said stupid shit, the community just goes like, yeah, blood, like that sort of thing. So it's pretty much just like a nihilistic content generation whirlpool that I don't really feel like taking seriously. We're here for the blood sports too. You know, credit to you guys. Credit to you guys. Even though you guys love the blood, you guys do complain quite a bit if you feel like I'm pursuing blood in a rhetorically or politically inefficacious way. Is it at least immoral to not disclose what genitals you have? I don't even know about that. See, here's the thing, okay? A lot of trans people are acutely aware of social signifiers that might betray the fact that they're trans if they're trying to pass. And oftentimes, if you sleep with a trans person and are surprised to find that they have a dick, they'll be surprised to find that you didn't expect them to have one. Does that make sense? It really depends on what community you're in, but a lot of trans people kind of expect that there's sort of a shared awareness or understanding. I don't really think there are many instances out there of, because this is a very dangerous thing for a trans woman to do, of a trans woman going to like straight bars, like making out with like straight dudes, and then going back and then just like surprising them with a dick. I don't think that happens very often because that's basically like playing Russian roulette as a trans woman. I mean, you're rolling the cylinder and really hoping you don't get the fucking the bullet. I mean, I'm sure it happens in some cases, in which case the responsible thing to do is say, "Oh, I didn't realize you had a dick." Okay, well, yeah. Yeah. The fact that this is even being discussed kind of legitimizes the preconception many people have that trans women are looking to trap men, you know, that this is like a thing that happens out there, you know? Can you comment on the discourse for genital preferences? There's nothing wrong with having genital preferences. Now, obviously, I'm pan, so I don't really have them, and I don't necessarily like get other people having them, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that fundamentally. Genitals are a pretty big part of sex. I mean, right? Yeah. And some people are just going to have preferences along those lines, and it doesn't like have to be transphobic either. There are people who have genital preferences who are themselves pan, and it's complicated. But like, let's not adopt the conservative stereotype and be people who are like, you won't have sex with a woman with a dick, you're a transphobe, like that kind of thing. You know, that's probably pretty bad. Not going to change any minds that way. Maybe it is cock out win. I don't know. Can we just ban sex already? We're working on it, okay? Bosh, but even as a pansexual who dates trans people, genitals are important to me and I like to know beforehand. Yeah, it's good to know beforehand. I'm just saying that it's not rape. Do you understand? It is kind, it is considerate, it is good practice to disclose information like that before having sex with a person. It's probably important to people. I just don't think it's rape to not do so. Rape is a serious crime. I think we trivialize it quite a bit by saying that like a person just not saying that, like, you know, what if a person has a micro penis and they don't disclose that? That's very significantly important to a great many people. and they don't disclose that, they take their pants off, they like, has rape taken place? Like, just there are so many ridiculous roads that you can run this down. What if a person was like texting me and they're like, hey, can you come over? And I come over and they're expecting to have sex with a human being, but instead I unfurl my gigantic, meaty, fucking 12-inch cock. Is that rape? Because they weren't ready for that? I don't know. It's rough out there. Bosh, I'm not going to say it's rape, but if you want to have sex with Mary and you're having a good time, then Mary takes a wig off and it turns out to be your old friend Susan from college. Isn't that a lack of consent, almost rape? Wait, hold on. Poison Soup, the example that you just gave is a person lying. If a person literally disguises themselves as another person, that's not just not disclosing something. That's deliberately disguising yourself. I think that's a very, very different... Yeah. I mean, I certainly think that's very different. That comparison is pretty not good, though. It's the difference between dick size and the actual genitals themselves. Do you understand what comparisons are? Do you understand what the broader logic of this argument is? The argument is, if there is some component of a person's sexual characteristics that are of significant importance to you, that were implicitly one thing, but turned out to be another, that is rape. If you want to isolate it, and it's exclusively about which genitals that you have, I think you're engaging in a degree of specificity that exists only to prevent the ridiculousness of this comparison from being made evident, you know? The broader argument is pretty ridiculous. You should already know chat can't handle comparisons or analogies. True. Bosh, how does the idea of lying by omission play into this conversation? I don't think that lying by omission is rape. Even if we're to assume that's what this is, I don't think that's rape. If you pick a girl up in a nice car, but then it turns out that's a rental and you only own like a beater car, is that rape? What happens? Like, I don't know. Like, no, I think this is ridiculous. Okay. Let's move on. Why wouldn't a trans person tell them, though? That's not what we're discussing. I already said they should. I'm only saying it's not rape. That is the only thing that I am saying. All right, people. Sorry, DGGers. We're not getting any more out of this. What's up? Oh, it's moving. Huh? We didn't take them out when I got drunk during the election stream. I'm just waiting for Hyena to leave. They're moving over some stuffed animals, and it's exceedingly distracting. Have you trimmed your beard, Vosh? Not in a couple weeks. It's still not right? What? The fuck are we talking about? What are any of us talking about? Are we done? Are we good? Jesus. My God. Here, hold on. Have you considered getting contacts? I don't like contacts. No, I don't like how they feel. They freak me out, dude. Having a little piece of plastic or whatever just on your iris? Yeah, it's just yeah, I don't know. I used to wear them back when I was a little more vain, and I went to the beach once, and my younger brother kicked some sand at me, not like to be mean, just like haha, you know. And a little bit got in my eye and ended up scratching up my contact lenses, and it was just such a ridiculous and awful ordeal, you know. Wait, hold on. Vosh isn't saying, hey, I'm not Mary, I'm Susan, the saying, hey, I'm trans, I have a penis, the same. It's lying and not being truthful. Poison Soup, if you believe that a person deliberately disguising themselves as another person to have sex with you under false pretenses, and you picking up a person and being surprised to see they have a penis when they haven't indicated anything to the contrary are the same thing, then you are brain poisoned beyond I don't know what kind of insane logical train you're currently on right now, but that is well beyond anything I can follow you on. Jesus. There sure are a lot of transphobes in here as soon as Destiny says something transphobic. It's funny how, like, his community is super progressive, and then Destiny does the essentially trans panic defense, and all the DGG logic lords are like, well, actually, isn't it basically like deception? Isn't it basically like lying if you don't disclose your like, it's just really interesting how quickly those points dropped. All right. Not taking any longer. Every once in a while, I think it's really important that we see what's going on the other side. You know? Oh man, what a great freeze frame. That's really nice. I like that. Maybe that's the emotional vibe we're going for this one. See, I've been taking a look at Ben Shapiro's videos from time to time, and there's such a stark disparity with the kinds of viewership that he gets with these different videos. So, I mean, he's a big channel. He gets lots of views, certainly. You know, you got your Q&A. Ben Shapiro reviews Godzilla vs. Kong. Does he say it's woke? Wait, do the comments say that it's woke? Maybe it does. I don't know. Is anything in that movie could be considered woke? I don't think so. Probably not. The only thing that I can think of that Ben Shapiro would complain about was that little the little girl who did the sign language. That one, he would be like, including the young non-Western girl as one of the essential characters for communicating with King Kong was. I mean, obviously, of course, you're saying then that Western literature artists and academics aren't capable of deciphering. Or I don't know. There's something there. Anyway, the most views he has on anything he's put out recently is this right here. It's Coke wakes up as Ben and Jerry's melts down. Oh, is it the billionaire being the villain? Ah, gotcha. You know, the billionaire has been the villain in pretty much all media for as long as media has existed. You know, people just tend not to trust aristocrats that much. Anyway, I want to see what's going on over here. 750,000 views in what, 4 days? What's the vibe, Ben? Hit us up.
Ooh, those evil corporations staying out of political matters that don't involve them. Those evil, nasty corporations not doing what the New York Times tells them to do. It's time for the pushback. Be part of the pushback. Yeah. Don't be part of the surrender caucus. In the case of Dante Wright, what you're going to see is if the officer is tried and convicted, there will be no riots. Right? In uncontroversial cases are not the ones that the media love. The media love the controversial cases because what they like to do is impute bad intention to people who actually look at the evidence. And this is all part and parcel, again, of driving that crisis mentality. America is in a state of constant crisis.
Hey, how do you think Ben Shapiro felt about listening to the people who bring the evidence to the table when it came to the election and Biden beating out Trump? Because if I remember correctly, Ben Shapiro played in quite a bit into the well, you know, actually there were 76 concerns that we have of these states and what procedures by which they accumulated these votes seem to be a deviation from the, interesting. So, listen to the experts when the information they provide agrees with me, basically.
And if you don't take a side, then you are on the side of evil. And this is being driven by the media. In an act of activism, that is just, it's clear activism. This is not journalism in any way. The New York Times has now printed a piece of quote-unquote journalism. It's not journalism. It's basically McCarthyite lists. It's from Andrew Ross Sorkin, Jason Karayan, Sarah Kessler, Michael J. DeLemar Lauren Hirsch, and Efrat Livni. Okay, so it's 87 people writing for the New York Times. Okay. The CEOs who didn't sign a big defense of voting rights. Hundreds of leaders and companies signed a letter opposing strict limits. They did not. Does that sound like activism or journalism to you?
Wait. Okay, so, first of all, the idea that journalism and activism don't overlap is incredibly stupid. What do you think journalists have been doing for the past? So, what Ben Shapiro wants to do is be a frothing at the mouth, just foaming, lunatic partisan who presents information in a biased way, but then when journalistic organizations indicate they have a preference for one thing or another, this is evidence that all sanity has been removed from American political discourse. Journalists are supposed to just factually report on information with no bias or argument whatsoever. They should just say the weather and say the number of troop deaths in Afghanistan. That's it. And if they report the troop deaths too many times under a Republican president, that means they're biased. But they don't do it enough times under a Democrat president, that means they're biased too. It's like nothing. Republicans love doing this. They hate it when journalistic organizations express a preference, but they don't have a problem with Fox News. It's insane. They over and over and over again. They repeat this mantra that New York Times, the Washington Post, that these organizations are biased for indicating a preference one way or another. And by the way, often when they get mad at these orgs are just repeating facts, Like the Trump administration's constant fuck-ups with COVID. They would report these COVID deaths and numbers. Ben Shapiro and other conservatives would call that bias. Just reporting the facts is bias if the facts make a Republican look bad. And vice versa, if they make a Democrat look good, that's also bias. But the Republican Party and Fox News are basically like they're docking right now. Fox News has wrapped their foreskin around the tip of the Republican Party penis. They are as close together as you can get. I mean, they are tip to tip, And they never complain about it. They never complain about it. You can see the most wildly partisan shit on Fox News, and they don't give a fuck. Because at the end of the day, Ben Shapiro gets his marching orders. They all get the same marching orders.
When somebody doesn't sign a letter, when's the last time that was news? There's a collective letter. I didn't sign it.
When was the last time it was news to archive all the wealthy and important people in our society who took a political stand on something? How is this journalism noting which people choose a side on which issues? How is that? This information is completely irrelevant.
Was there a letter on all the people who didn't sign the Harper's Weekly letter? Was there like a big story about that? No. The goal here is to pressure all of these corporations and to pretend that they are in favor of voter suppression and the new Joe Biden-esque Jim Crow if they don't do exactly what the New York Times wants them to do.
Wait. The new Joe Biden-esque Jim Crow. What the fuck was that? Did he have a stroke? Yeah, what?
Media are just the activist propaganda wing of the Democratic Party at this point.
You'll notice, by the way, that people like Ben Shapiro will never actually argue against the merit or the factual nature of the journalism they dislike. They'll only accuse them of being biased. This is a really common strategy that Ben, others like him, engage in. He's not actually going to argue morally for or against the positions held by the people listed there. He's only going to say that the fact that they were listed at all is the bad thing.
And they are the ones who are pushing forward into the private sphere all of the lies being told by the Democratic Party.
What lies?
Here's the New York Times. Amazon, BlackRock, Google, Warren Buffett, and hundreds of other companies and executives have signed a new statement opposing any discriminatory legislation that would make it harder for people to vote. The statement, which ran as a 2-page ad in the New York Times, comes amid a flurry of voting-related proposals from Republicans who have generated competing calls for corporations to take a stand and to stay out of politics lest lawmakers retaliate. Just as notable as the names who signed the statement are those that didn't. Ooh, those evil corporations staying out of political matters that don't involve them.
Damn, he's like super mad. Hey, Ben, do those corporations lobby? Hey, Ben, do those corporations actually stay out of politics? Or do they engage in politics and actually push for lawmakers to pass laws favorable to them? Big businesses are political organizations, Ben. They always have been. They have always held a seat at the table of power. They always have. That has never changed. And it is perfectly all right to criticize them for the positions they do and do not hold.
Evil, nasty corporations not doing what the New York Times tells them to do. There are some notable omissions, says the New York Times.
Again, by the way, we're 2 minutes, 18 seconds in. He hasn't actually made an argument. The only argument that he's made is corporations should stay out of politics, and the New York Times is trying to bully them into saying something about politics when they lobby. That's it. That's the only thing. I bet that's the only thing we're going to get this entire time, actually.
Many companies declined to sign the statement. Some executives, such as Warren Buffett, signed for themselves, but not on behalf of their companies.
Cringe.
Coca-Cola and Delta declined to add their names, perhaps fearing more blowback for earlier statements and also not feeling the need to speak again. JP Morgan Chase declined to sign the statement, despite a personal request from senior black business leaders to Jamie Dimon, who made a statement on voting rights before. Doug McMillan Walmart's CEO, who also chairs the Business Roundtable lobby group, sent a note to employees to explain the company's position. He said, "We're not in the business of partisan politics. While our government relations teams have historically focused on core business issues like tax policy or government regulation, Walmart and other major employers are increasingly being asked to weigh in on broader societal issues such as civil rights." The company didn't sign the statement, but, quote, "We do want to be clear. We believe broad participation and trust in the election process are vital to its integrity." So they're all going to be bullied into speaking on topics that have...
Oh, no. Bullied. Look at the sycophantry here is unbelievable. Ben Shapiro is trying to make his audience feel bad for mega corporations because there was a list that said they didn't vote, they didn't cast their signature on a letter. That's what we're dealing with right now. That's what got 750,000 views, is Ben Shapiro saying how unfair it is that somebody wrote a letter and took out an ad pointing out that some corporations didn't do X or Y. I hope all 750,000 people or so who watch this go out there, go to their nearest megacorp that's owned by a billionaire and prostrate themselves before the lobbyist, the lobby in the front desk, okay? I hope they work there. I hope they volunteer their labor, all right? I hope they do unpaid labor there for decades, as inspired by Ben Shapiro, okay? To compensate for the overwhelming moral crime, doing everything they can. These poor corporations. It makes me kind of sad, you know? There are people watching this who are probably struggling, like, day to day. It's not like everyone who watches Ben Shapiro is some kind of, like, hedge fund manager. There are plenty of people who watch this who are probably dealing with their own day-to-day shit, and they're over here like, yeah, someone added those corporations, they shouldn't have to talk politics. Why does America hate big companies? What's going wrong? Meanwhile, like, these corporations are wealthier than they ever have been in basically all of human history. But, you know, anything to get people to defend them.
Nothing to do with their companies, and that are controversial at the very least. And the media are just going to push this stuff. They're going to push it as hard as they possibly can.
Still no argument.
Virtue signaling will continue until America is all better, which is why you get Ben and Jerry's announcing that they don't like the police anymore. So free ice cream for everybody, gang. Seems to me that if Ben and Jerry's doesn't like the police, next time somebody robs Ben and Jerry's, they have nobody to call. Quote,
I love how stupid Ben Shapiro is. First of all, Ben and Jerry's has signaled progressivism for quite a long time. Second of all, this is Ben Shapiro. This is the child prodigy, high IQ genius that everyone fears from the conservative intelligentsia. And what's his argument? If you criticize the police, then maybe the police won't show up when you're getting murdered. It's a very high IQ argument over there, Ben. I thought that freedom of speech and the right to criticize institutions that rule over you was one of the central tenets of American society. But no, I guess this is the same this is literally the love it or leave it argument, by the way. When like, this is the same kind of argument I would expect from some sort of incest-bred Alabaman, like, dipshit, you know, who beats his wife. You don't like the police? Huh, maybe next time someone rolls up, they don't show up. But, like, here's Ben Shapiro making this argument. Ben Shapiro, one of the loudest voices of the conservative intelligentsia, or whatever that means, and he's making essentially the exact same argument. It really does run shit all the way down. There is no, like, upper level. There's no upper crust to these arguments. It's the same logical fallacies. It's the same ridiculous comparisons, the same Mott and Baileys from top to bottom.
The murder of Daunte Wright, murder, not manslaughter, murder of Daunte Wright is rooted in white supremacy. Again, what's the evidence this is rooted in white supremacy?
It probably is just manslaughter, by the way, but I don't care about the language of this tweet.
And results from the intentional criminalization of black and brown communities.
True.
Intentional criminalization. I mean, again, Daunte Wright shouldn't have been shot. Also, Daunte Wright was a criminal. That's not intentional criminalization of Daunte Wright.
Wait. Ben, it didn't say intentional criminalization of Daunte Wright. It said intentional criminalization of the black and brown community. Ben, you have it in front of you, Ben. You have a screen right in front of you. Come on.
Intentional criminalization. I mean, again, Daunte Wright shouldn't have been shot.
Wake up.
Also, Daunte Wright was a criminal. That's not intentional criminalization of Daunte Wright. The man was a criminal. There's a warrant out for him, and he resisted arrest. Says Ben and Jerry's, the system can't be reformed. It must be dismantled. A real system of public safety rebuilt from the ground up. Okay, I look forward to all of the free ice cream for everyone. Meanwhile, Coke is realizing that they...
No, he doesn't even have a counter argument. He's just like, yeah, okay, well, I hope your communism where everyone just steals your ice cream, you fucking commies. And then he moves on to the next point. He doesn't even have a retort.
Made a very large mistake. Coca-Cola...
I feel like Ben's been getting slow. Can I say, does anyone else feel that way? I don't like watch everything that he does, but back in like 2017, 2018, I feel like he was way snappier with some of these points. Maybe he's getting tired, maybe losing it a little bit in his old age. Yeah, he's lost his drive, perhaps. I do think that Ben is probably a smart dude. He just takes his marching orders the same as every other conservative, you know? You have to defend the elites. You have to engage in this and that. They know they're being dishonest in some ways. In other ways, they think they're being honest, but they don't care because they think that everyone else is being dishonest, blah, 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 blah. But I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's wearing down on him a little bit.
Is now striking a conciliatory tone after coming under pressure from conservatives, according to the Washington Examiner, which shows that there is hope moving forward for conservatives, and that is stand up on your hind legs and stop giving into this crap. The soda giant based in Atlanta was absent from that list of more than 500 corporations and individuals that signed a statement condemning any election legislation that would, quote unquote, restrict voters from having, quote, an equal and fair opportunity to cast a ballot. Coca-Cola said that the company had not seen the letter, but is certainly open to hearing their perspective.
Okay.
They said, quote, we believe the best way to make progress now is for everyone to come together to listen, respectfully share concerns, and collaborate on a path forward. We remain open to productive conversations with the advocacy group and lawmakers who may have differing points of view.
Okay.
Why? Because they felt it in the pocketbook, right? That's all that happened here. They felt it directly in the pocketbook. And this is true of all of these corporations. They're all virtue signaling because they know that the left is attempting to eat them.
Do you ever think they get tired of making arguments like this? Like, at all? Do you think, like, people like Ben ever get tired of making the same argument? Woke corporations virtue signaling. They don't actually believe X. They're just doing it to kowtow to the left. They're not actually trying to kowtow to the left. They're trying to kowtow to the majority population of the United States of America. That's what a lot of these conservatives don't actually recognize. See, right now, the reason why corporations do all this woke shit, and they do virtue signal, there's no denying that, the reason they do it is because there's more of us than they are of them, you know? Republicans tend to vote more because they're older. Older people tend to vote more. Additionally, they have the Electoral College, which massively biases federal elections in their favor. But the majority of people side with us on this. Polling consistently indicates that when it comes to basically every social issue that the conservatives represent, they're in the minority. The majority is progressive. So the corporations are doing this to make money, but it's not to kowtow to, like, the Antifa left. They're doing it to kowtow to the majority population. This is what's known as advertising and branding and marketability. I think somebody with a law degree would be passingly familiar with these ideas, but...
That's all. By the way, this is also true for some of your favorite places like the NBA. It turns out that the NBA, according to Clay Travis's Outkick, has been outsourcing to Chinese companies who acknowledge that they've been using slave labor cotton. This is according to Clay Travis. So the same people who are virtue signaling at you about how America is a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad, racist place, that same league, they're pushing companies that overtly engage in Muslim slave labor.
So this right here is a perfect example of the reason why you have to ally over solutions rather than allying over problems. So there are people in chat saying, wait, Vosh, Ben Shapiro is right about this. No, he's not, because his solution is that we shouldn't criticize either China or America. He is the exact opposite of correct. This is concern trolling. What he's doing is invoking the slavery that's used in China as an excuse to avoid being morally compelled to criticize America. He doesn't actually care about either. The correct solution to this is to look him directly in the eyes, to crack your Giga Chad fingers, your muscles rippling as you do so, your neck thickening wider than the outer limits of your jawline as you pull your head back and let out cracks from your trapezius muscles so loud that hairs bristle on the back of his neck. You look him in the eyes, you lean in forward, you can smell the aqua fresh minty breath on his, and you say, both bad. That's the real answer right there, okay? That's the Giga Chad answer, okay? But that's not the answer that Ben Shapiro has. The answer Ben Shapiro has is, well, everything's bad. So actually, like, nothing's really bad. I mean, if you say America's bad, but there are other bad things, then you can't say that America's bad because there are other bad things. That's Ben Shapiro's argument.
According to Clay Travis's Outkick. He'll be joining the show a little bit later on today. Okay, so should we push back on this? Of course we should push back on this, and there will be success if we do push back on this. This is the point.
I
The
don't
left is
know.
pushing, and they're pushing a false narrative about you. They say that you are a racist if you believe in America's systems. They're pushing a false narrative about America's founding principles. And they're using that as a fake crisis in order to ram through tremendous change to a system that is not.
What crisis? What change are we even talking about? Wasn't this segment about corporations and the New York Times virtue signaling? What change are we talking about right now? We're fear-mongering again. Ben, what are we talking about right now? Ben, what change? What are we... He almost got that past me, too. You lull into a sleep when he's talking, and he's like, the left is trying to push this incredible change to destroy the fabric of America. But, like, wait, what change? What are we talking about? Is the change we're talking about corporations saying police need reform? What's...
Not only functional, is the greatest system created in the history of mankind. So, it's time for the pushback. Be part of the pushback. Don't be part of the surrender caucus. The battle for...
When did this term surrender caucus become popular? I've been hearing... I only hear Ben use it. Surrender caucus. I assume this is just this is a snappy term for people who let good things happen, I guess. Oh, no, Trump used this term. Trump criticizes some Republicans as surrender caucus. Okay. I didn't realize that it had been used by Trump, who aren't backing further challenges Joe Biden. Okay, yeah, gotcha. So a surrender caucus, these are people like these are like rhinos, like Republicans who aren't trying hard enough. Okay, well. Yeah, Ben's losing it a little bit. Ben's losing his edge. It's kind of sad to see, you know, like an old prize fighter or a dog who can't climb the stairs anymore. What is he now, like 35 or something? He still gets treated like this boy genius because of how he looks and sounds, but he's like, you know, I mean, he's older than plenty of people who get treated older than he is. 38? Oh. 37. 37. Poor Ben. Yes. The 13-year-old man versus the 37-year-old boy. Truly the virgin versus Chad dichotomy there, or Chad versus virgin, respectively. Oh, excuse me. Looks like dumbing down arguments for his dumb conservative base has gotten to him. Eventually, that's going to happen. Sometimes I worry about that, you know? I worry about you guys quite a bit. I worry about, because a lot of the news that I need to cover, or that I want to cover, that people want me to cover, it feels really low effort. You know what I mean? Like, it feels really low effort. Like I talk about, like, yeah, the cops are bad. Yeah, America's bad, like, so on and so forth. And I feel like I'm not challenging myself, and I worry about becoming sycophantic, you know? That's one of the reasons why I really enjoyed the anti-tanky arc for what it was worth, even though I got nothing from it. I got lowered donations. I dropped thousands of subs. So I didn't get anything from it, like, career-wise. But I liked it because it's testing my mettle against a different set of arguments that most people on the left don't go against. Which means that because it's not part of the, like, dogma of the online left, I have to make these arguments myself. I don't just, like, adopt a popular position and then mold it to my rhetorical style, you know? I think it's valuable, even if it consolidates the community a little bit, you know? Just a little bit. You gained a good bit of subs, though. You averaged it out. No, I'm afraid the actually, wait. If you can entertain a brief departure. Oh wait, hold on. I'll take a look at the sub count in a second. I think it's funny to look at that stuff. Somebody sent a link from Destiny. All right. How argumentative do you think this is going to be? Get ready. Oh wait, I have this muted. Oops.
Vosh has to say on this. By the way, I would not recommend listening to anything Vosh has to say on this, because these are very complicated sexual conversations, and I don't think he's probably done any thinking about, like, how any of these interactions work. So I would tread carefully into that territory.
All right. So, not even an argument, just super patronizing. All right, cool. I've been defeated in the free marketplace of ideas. A little low effort, yeah. If the contention is a sex off, then he probably has slept with more people than me. He's a mega coomer. Destiny. You seen the Lawrence Southern debate? I have now seen the Lawrence Southern debate, yes. With Sandra Hall. Thoughts on it? I think I've talked about it a little bit. There were definitely points where Zan could have done a lot better. It was a losing premise to begin with because that book was made to be fairly unobjectionable. What is this? Hey, nice! Proud Boys getting fucked. That's what I like to see. A study came out showing China and Russia played a big role in QAnon. That doesn't surprise me at all. QAnon has weakened the fabric of American political discourse more than maybe anything else in existence right now. It makes sense that they would put some effort into trying to disseminate these ideas. Though that does make it funny that all of the super anti-Chinese, like America First QAnon types are probably believing propaganda given to them by China. Like, how could it not be? The QAnon shit makes America so incredibly weak. Not that I want America to be like mega strong or anything, but like it does. Like it does so much. Yeah, these people are unironic sheep. Oh my God! Nearly 1/5 of the 166,820 QAnon-related Facebook posts between January 2020 and the end of February 2021 originated from outside of the U.S. According to the report, Russia dominated the space for much of the last year, responsible for 44% of foreign QAnon content on the platform. Damn. We're getting styled on. In 2021, though, other actors have overtaken Russia, with 58% of such content coming from China in January and February. Oh my God! Damn, do you think that we can start calling QAnoners like Chinese agents now? Yeah, we should do it. Sleeper agents of Xi Jinping. Yeah. Yeah, does this mean tankies are pro-QAnon? I've seen pro-QAnon posts from tankies. There's also a bit of an overlap because the Falun Gong probably pushes a lot of QAnon stuff as well because they're so crazy far right. So yeah, I don't know. A recent survey carried out by Limbic found that approximately 20% of respondents self-identify as QAnon believers. Wait, this is worthless. A recent survey found that 20% of respondents... What was the methodology of the survey? If this was an online survey, then this doesn't mean anything. Means absolutely nothing. Falun Gong is anti-China, isn't it? Yeah, they're like some crazy anti-race mixing far-right cult that's disliked by the CCP because of who they are. So their leader fled, and I think he's somewhere in America, and they operate the Epoch Times. Epoch Times? The E-P-O-C-H Times. And it's far-right, it's anti-China, but it's also being funded by what are ostensibly like a separate cell of Chinese political agents. So, yeah. Did Jordan Peterson respond to your tweet when you asked to debate him? Funnily enough, no. Actually, he didn't, even though I ratioed that tweet. Who could have thought that he was just meaninglessly virtue signaling? Did he ever address the him liking gay porn thing? Did Jordan Peterson like gay porn? Bosch, do you think history classes are propaganda? They're a method by which you can deliver propaganda, sure. There are some history classes that are really, really good. Yeah, that's Jesse Lee Peterson. That's a different Peterson. Some history classes are really good and really well informed. Some history classes are basically just dog shit American propaganda, and there's no way around it. It really, really varies depending on your teacher and the district you're in. I got a relatively good and unbiased education. I mean, relatively, by the way. Because, I went to a good school district. But I had a friend whose sister grew up in the South, And, like, I mean, the rural South. And apparently their education was, I mean, lacking would be charitable. It was not good. It was not good. It was insufficient, is what it was. Oh, we'll see the Jubilee thing. Don't worry. We're chilling. We're chilling. We're chilling today. Is there somewhere you upload VODs as a podcast thing? Some stream segments are uploaded to the previously live podcast that you can find on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the like. Nice, funny rhetorician. How is it possible that the most powerful country is being played by Russia? There are a lot of answers to that question, and all of them are going to be speculation on my part, because that's complicated, you know? Xander Hall has spoken how he was taught the Civil War was about states' rights. Yeah, the lost causers. That's pretty common out there. Yeah, 100%. I'd recommend a short research segment on the Falun Gong. I think I've done that before. I just didn't publish it because it wasn't, like, super interesting. What do you think on Kraut's videos on geopolitics and history? I don't trust Kraut at all. He narrativizes the fuck out of his videos, and he's also a raging lunatic, as anybody who's seen my conversation with him or seen any of his wild hypocrisies has evidence of. He makes good videos, but yeah, I can't trust him at all. It's the same with Bad Empanada. I can't. Yeah. Why does Destiny have Mon so much? Because Kraut doesn't like lefties, and Destiny likes people who don't like lefties, and that's it. It's funny because, like, Kraut will shit on Shu for, like, being friends with Nazis 4 years ago, but Kraut's friends with Nazis now, and was 4 years ago, and never apologized for it, and never went back in his rhetoric calling Muslims cockroaches. He's still, like, 100% an Islamophobe who believes that Islam is essentially immoral. And I think he still likes and retweets, like, really Islamophobic shit. Like, he hasn't changed at all, but, you know, he still calls other people out for not reforming properly, you know. What about Hakeem? I think Hakeem's pretty level-headed. Just, you know, I think he's gonna tank, I guess. Anyway, what was I looking for here? I was gonna look at the sub thing. There's actually a way you can track this. Hold on. If you go by subscribers and then subscription status, YouTube makes this needlessly complicated. No, wait, no, views by subscription status. No, we want to look at subscribers gained and subscribers lost. Yeah, there you go. Yikes. Look at that. It's rough out here. Just go on Social Blade. Those numbers are inaccurate. What you actually want. Why don't you give Sean the same treatment? Sean isn't anywhere near as crazy on social media. Sean's just kind of like an asshole, like a bitch on social media, but not like crazy. There's a bit of a difference. Critical distinction to be made. God, I wish I could align these numbers properly. It's super fucking annoying. These are the numbers on subs gained versus subs lost. The green is subs lost and the purple is subs gained, but the two charts aren't at the same scale. You can see on the right-hand side, it's 200, 400, 600 for subs lost, and for subs gained, it's 500, 1,000, 1,500. So the purple line is actually consistently above the green line, but you can see the tanky arc has definitely had its spikes. It's okay, we've consolidated our community. We've made it stronger. Can I whistle? Not well. Would I ever debate Steven Crowder or Tim again? Yeah, of course, obviously. Why would I ever turn down opportunities to debate, like, huge conservative figures, you know? Feel like you need to ban more people? I'll ban you, funny. That's not true. You're great. You're great. Yeah. When do you remove the liberals in your community? You realize the point is to move them left, right? I feel like so many people in my community have forgotten the reason why I do what I do. It's not just so I can wrap up every leftist on the internet. It's so that we can move liberals and other people left. That's the point. I'll argue with the liberals, but the point here is not to fucking kick them out like this is some weird exclusionary cult, you know? I'm just here to make you all gay, obviously. Can you do a teardown of Obama sometime? Maybe. It's a little out of date now, but, you know. Why did Zan not push back on Destiny roasting Shonehead and calling all socialists equal to Nazis? Why wouldn't you ask Zan? Also, I don't know. Like, maybe it's like probably because Zan came on there for debate advice and not to deal with like Destiny's petulant virtue signaling over how much he hates socialists. Probably didn't feel it was worth his time, which is probably true. I don't know how much a comment like Nazis are equal to socialists deserves fair criticism anyway. All right, are we ready? We're in for the long haul, people, okay? It's been a while since we've done one of these, and that's because they're painful. Because it's like pulling teeth, all right? But I got a lot of teeth. I got like 30 or 40 of them, maybe? I don't know how many teeth a person's supposed to have. I have the normal amount of teeth, okay? Who is censored more? Liberals versus conservatives, the middle ground. Get ready, people. Look at how happy this guy looks. This guy looks like he's about to pop a pog, you know? Wait, what's the normal amount of teeth? Wait, guys, how many teeth should I... 50 teeth is the normal amount? I have the normal amount of teeth, okay? Around 32? That sounds a bit better. Okay.
Welcome back to Middle Ground, and thank you to our sponsor,
He's happy, I'm happy.
for making this episode possible.
Yeah, Parler, 4chan. Yeah, no, I mean, again, this is true. If you're creating an online service, you have the right to decide what your community is going to look like. It's pretty simple. I think that's a fairly simple, straightforward rule. Like, this is the question that I have to ask to people who don't like TOSs, okay? How would you feel if you created a fan forum for, like, a kid's cartoon show or something? You know what I mean? And you have, like, a little forum, but you can't have any TOS. So every once in a while, neo-Nazis go over there and they spam gore, they spam pornography, they spam... It's not illegal. That's not illegal. Nothing illegal about that. They just spam it, and the community is unusable by children. Is that acceptable? Well, no. Obviously, you need some kind of terms of service to regulate the behavior that people can engage in. Well, okay. What if you have a service like Twitter, and they don't really like the idea of their community being overrun by, like, harassers and bigots? Well, do we have a TOS there? Sure, yeah. There is a broader argument to be made that big tech has way more power than it should, and that's true, but TOSs aren't going away. They will always be a part of the ways in which we engage with online services. That is not changing. I don't think that should change either. Even if we're talking about some socialist utopia, I would still want there to be some kind of limit on the kind of behavior you can engage in online, because otherwise nobody's going to use these sites.
Really as bad as what I've...
Somebody linked me this. Get ready for it. We can't engage beyond this. Oh, whoops.
Oh, here it comes.
Like, I don't think that lying by omission is rape. Even if we're...
Oh, here it comes. If you lie about, if you're a lawyer and you say you have a lot of money and then you lie, that's not rape. That's what he's going to say.
That's what this is. I don't think that's rape. If you pick a girl up in a nice car... But
how did I know?
Only own like a beater car,
how did I know?
Is that rape?
How do I know?
Predicting valid counterarguments by saying them in a funny voice isn't the same as debunking those counterarguments. I don't know if he knows that.
How do I know? You know what I must have done? I bet I went into the other room and I was just...
Oh, there we go. It's going to be a meme. Vosh ignoring the actual argument while taking the optically optimal position. This is another thing that his community does at this point, by the way. Anytime I say a thing that people will like and Destiny says something stupid, they say I'm only saying the right thing for optics. This is an argument they've been making a lot lately. The only reason I make the arguments that I do is like optically. It's like, it's not my fault that the arguments he makes are bad optically. I can't help that. Anyway, yeah. We don't need to engage with this. He's just having fun.
When do we draw the line? Because he would still have the platform.
This is such a bullshit argument that so the lefties, the people on the left, the liberals, they should be able to handle this just fine, okay? Optically, this is incredibly easy to handle, all right? Nobody is defending the riots and the damage caused by the riots. We're only saying that riots are caused by social unrest. If you want to fix that, you have to fix the social unrest. Take a look at any developing country that's going through a lot of internal strife right now. Let me ask you folks a question. Does cracking down on riots lead to less violence and social unrest in the future, or does it escalate and spiral and get worse and worse and worse because the underlying problems are never addressed? It always escalates because there are millions and millions of people in your country. There are only so many police, and the police are themselves people. There will be outages, there will be firings and breaks and blue flus where cops decide not to go in that day because they're sympathetic to whatever cause the cops are supposed to be cracking down on. And yeah, no, it just doesn't work that way. This is simple, okay? The rioting is bad. If you want the rioting to not happen, fix the social problems that cause it. It's that simple. What death are we talking about? I'm sorry, there have been so many black people killed by cops. Michael Brown? Oh God, it's been so long. I don't even remember the circumstances of Michael Brown's death. I'm not gonna lie, I genuinely do not remember.
Spreading the misinformation, and then it also...
And also, if you'd like to have the perspective...
Also, the actual circumstances... Oh, Mike Brown was 2014? Oh, he's the loose cig guy? No, Eric Garner was the loose cig guy. That one was fucking crazy. The Eric Garner shit was the Eric Garner shit was one of the most overtly bad cop killings that have ever been tied to BLM. That was really, really, really bad. The cig thing was Mike? Wait, wasn't it Eric Garner? Wait, Eric Garner. Wait, I'm sorry, there have been so many. No, yeah, Eric Garner died in New York Police Department chokehold in 2014. Yeah, I was correct, yeah. Anyway, that one was crazy. Anyway, fuck, I lost my train of thought. Okay, continue.
So I was there that day.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Also, I heard my smoothie arrived. I want my smoothie, hyena. I heard the doorbell. I want it.
And we can talk about censorship.
That's terrible.
Okay, gotcha.
The censorship of those
I don't like this argument either. A lot of misinformation spreads about stuff like that, but it's always going to happen. Misinformation is always going to be a component of massive civil unrest. People are heated. Bad information circulates over social media faster than fact checkers can correct it. That's always going to be a thing, and it's always a problem. It's not good. It shouldn't be a problem, but it is. But it's also an inevitable component of any kind of civil unrest. So let's focus on the underlying issues here, okay? Let's focus on the fact that black people die disproportionately to cops. Let's talk about police treatment of black people. Let's talk about the criminal justice system. Let's talk about poverty. We need to talk about the systemic issues here. Really disingenuous. The idea that the earlier conversation on censorship with regards to TOS violations has anything to do with fact-checking during, like, civil unrest, these are completely unrelated points. I don't like why did the Jubilee people give that guy the last word? Like that was some kind of salient point. That had nothing to do whatsoever with the censorship they were talking about.
Tech companies should be allowed to ban whoever they want.
Tech companies should be allowed to ban whoever they want. I don't think that tech companies or social media platforms should ban people for protected class reasons. Race, gender, age, sex, nationality, religion, that kind of stuff. I guess there are some forums that are like all women, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I think those should be protected. Apart from that, though, for like political opinion or behavior, I think that's acceptable. I think it depends, by the way. I don't actually have a problem with extremist leaders like that being on social media as long as they're not using it to recruit. Sometimes you can use platforms like that just like to broadcast. And I think that could be more defensible. But I don't know. I'd have to think about that, actually. Like, I wouldn't want people like ISIS leaders, like, recruiting off Twitter. But, I don't know, maybe broadcast what? Probably, like, diplomatic intention, I imagine. I don't know. Like, ISIS, I don't know how often they dip their toes into diplomacy. But if you take something like the Taliban, I think, has tried to engage in some diplomatic action in the regions they control. I wonder if, like, that would be acceptable. I don't actually know. Yeah, just existing on social media can be a kind of recruitment. That's true. Of course, realistically speaking, if you actually had, like, yeah, they could post recipes. If you actually had an ISIS leader on Twitter, I feel like they'd get ratioed every time they tweeted, and that'd be kind of funny, right? You know what I mean? Like you got an ISIS leader, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna establish a caliphate. Fuck you. And then they get like 600,000 quote tweets of fucking people who live in Wisconsin posting pictures of them on a pickup truck with a bunch of guns next to them. I don't know. Gonna get you, like that kind of thing. I don't know. Vosh an ISIS leader, but not Trump? I'm just spitballing. The reason why Trump was kicked off was because he was directly responsible for initiating and encouraging an insurrectionist attack on the Capitol that very nearly led to the death of political officials. Not because Trump is bad. If ISIS people were doing shit like that, then obviously they should be kicked off as well. I was just wondering if there was any capacity by which extremist leaders could exist on that platform. Don't ISIS leaders do that, Lamal Vosh? Then if they did, they would get kicked off. Well, what about this is complicated? What does ratioed mean? It means when a tweet gets more comments or quote tweets than it does likes, basically.
Tweets aren't promoting terror or violating
it's
the
also
terms.
a political party.
That's
the Hezbollah is a political party in Lebanon.
I know Bin Laden's dead, but if he were alive and he...
What do you mean if Vosh? Of course ISIS does that. I'm gonna kill myself. In Minecraft, if ISIS did that, then they'd be banned. I was just saying if there was some broad rep account that existed, like some weird like affiliate like diplomatic thing. If they did anything dicey, they get banned. They're probably gonna get banned anyway. I was spitballing. I'm not committed to this idea. Jesus Christ. If I say something that's so non-committal, it frustrates me when I have to correct you people because you're not even understanding the non-committal thing that I'm saying. God. We can't say in Minecraft anymore? No! Oh my God. Minecraft is a video game. Based on info provided by the FBI, the government understands it is common for persons discussing criminal activity online to refer to such activity as occurring in Minecraft to conceal the true nature that they fucking figured us out! They fucking This is COINTELPRO 2.0. God damn it! Fuck! What are we gonna do now? Who told them? Who tattled? One of you fucking rats told them. Yeah, it looks like in Roblox is going to be the next one. Vosh, I want you to imagine if ISIS was just posting recipes to make them appear better. Isn't that already bad? Do you... Do you think ISIS could... Again, I don't care about any of this. Do you think they could salvage their reputation with falafel recipes? Stop. Shut up. Please, stop. That would be very funny, okay? In fact, I'm committing to this now, okay? I want ISIS to have a cooking Twitter account. All right? That's it. No politics. It's run by ISIS, and all they do is post recipes, okay? What if they were a really good recipe? Yeah, I mean... No, it's... God, this frustrates me so much because this is so inequitable. What you see on the left is usually there's a lot of social unrest that's caused by long-standing socioeconomic issues, you know? And that unrest is catalyzed by some incident like police violence, and it leads to widespread protests, and some of those protests are not peaceful. Some of them have elements of rioting, and usually what you see is people on the left being like, yeah, fuck the system, burn it all down, yeah, okay? I think that is a far cry from what people accused Trump of, because Trump and his team, as the presidential administration, spent months aggressively lying. And all conservative commentators backed him on this. I mean, everybody backed him on this. They all fell in line to push the narrative that the election was being stolen. And Trump pushed this narrative for months and months. He constantly signaled he was not going to give up the election, that anything needed to be done in order to stop the steal, that patriots would rise up, that Mike Pence was a cuck for not blocking the electoral count. And he went as far as to encourage and essentially direct the mob of rioters who ended up attacking the Capitol building on the 6th. I mean, he was there at the protest, and then they went and marched, like, what was it, 1.5 miles to get to the Capitol building? How far was it? I mean, Trump didn't just like tweet, yeah, you know, fuck him up. No, Trump very, very specifically coordinated, catalyzed, incited, and then pushed a group of people into doing what happened. And then even after it happened, he essentially said that, you know, oh, you're all so special, you're fantastic, you're all patriots, but we have to go home now. He couldn't even own up to the severity of what he did. This is wildly different than anything you can accuse people on the left of having done. Yeah, and he justified it afterwards, additionally. And after the attack on the Capitol began, it took him a long time to actually tweet or signal anything requiring them to stop. Bad. This was so bad for the left. This shit was deceptively edited to make it look like the kids were like bullying or like running up on these older people, and there were literally hundreds of thousands of left-leaning people online who were like fantasizing about kicking the shit out of this kid. He's like a kid. Like, even if he's the smuggest little bitch kid in the world, like, the optics of everyone on the left, like, yeah, like, losing their shit, like, that fucking smug-ass fucking piece of shit should have shot him, like, yeah, like, no. Some people, when they just see this face, they just get, like, run into a blood rage. For a lot of liberals and leftists, this kid's face is, this is your equivalent of, like, the, Big Red. This is what you see. A lot of people on the left. It's the equivalent. This is horseshoe theory, okay? A lot of liberals see this and get incited into the same kind of insane behavior that people on the right see this and get incited to do. That wasn't good. That wasn't good at all.
Unequivocal truth.
Right.
Wait, yeah, Cindy, you're completely right. As I understand it, megachurch founders aren't held legally accountable for their followers dying of diseases that they encourage them not to go to doctors for. Homeopaths aren't held legally liable when people die after taking their homeopathic remedies rather than going to the actual doctors. There's a multi-billion-dollar industry in this country for people trying to pass off pseudoscience as medicine, and I don't think people get arrested for that, even if they're directly responsible for it. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't think, even when we're talking about people using a position of power to lie to others in a way that gets them directly hurt or killed, I still don't think they're legally liable. Probably because of free speech protections. America is extremely lax when it comes to provisions on free speech, which I generally like, though obviously sometimes it has pretty dire consequences. There's no debate. A lot of people fetishize discourse. Okay? I'm about to drop a massive black pill on you guys, okay? Are you ready for it? Okay? Discourse is like swimming in a lake. Okay? And everyone likes the idea of swimming in a lake. Everyone likes the idea. It's a beautiful lake surrounded by mountains. You know, you can see snow caps up on the top. There are hot bikini babes on the pier. There are some people fishing off in a boat. Everyone likes the lake. It's a beautiful lake, okay? And whenever people talk about the lake and swimming in such lake, they always imagine it how it used to be. What they don't remember, what they don't talk about, and sometimes what they willfully pretend not to acknowledge, is that the fact has been, the lake has been a toxic dumping ground for about, let's say, all of human history. The lake is fetid, polluted, okay? The thick layer of sludge caked on top is so strong that when you can jump down into the lake and skid on it for a bit before you finally sink down to the liquid layer, okay? But when people talk about it, they just talk about the lake. They don't talk about all the problems in it, all right? Discourse is great. I like the concept of discourse, okay? The problem is, discourse only functions if it takes place in a certain set of contexts that enable it to be productive. And that is not what discourse is right now. Discourse is wildly tainted right now, at this moment. It does not serve its proper and intended function of allowing the best ideas to rise to the top, because there are people with power and interests that incentivize the proliferation of ideas which are in fact not very good. That's the problem. Conceptually, the ideal of the free marketplace of ideas is something that I agree with. I like that. I can imagine us. It's 2,000 years in the future. Humans all live 300 years because of genetic alterations, and every public square is like the Parthenon, okay? Sure, you have your internet, but you also have the public spaces. You know, you've got your future space cafes and your video game holodeck facilities, and you have your big open squares where people get food and hang out, and it's the Parthenon. People talk ideas. People are walking around. You know, the discourse is lively, and everybody is transgender, obviously, okay? I like that. That's a great idea. You know, you have a future society where things are worked out a little better. I'm here for it. The problem is, right now, the free marketplace of ideas is essentially billionaires tossing fat stacks of cash at fast talkers whose job it is to lie as convincingly as possible. That's the free marketplace of ideas. We're all walking around in this public square ant-sized, and these gigantic, you know, profligators of misinformation, these demagogues with soapboxes and megaphones scream at us, scream untruths at us. And some people are better than others, sure, but it's not exactly the Parthenon. That's the problem, okay? I sympathize with people who like the idea of the free marketplace of ideas, but right now we are not in a position where its existence is really bringing us much good. It's not how we solve problems, right? Learn anything? We learned the FBI has caught on to the Minecraft euphemism. That's for sure. It's easy to inject nuance into these discussions from a distance, the way I'm doing right now, but realistically, you know, if I was actually there at one of those panels, it's entirely possible that it would be as much of a worthless shit show. You know, it's difficult to say. Who knows? Most people who talk about that idea of an open forum don't actually advocate for anything. They just want to talk and cosplay philosophy. No, it's actually worse. A lot of the people who advocate for this open forum are doing so because they know that they can't defend their actual prescriptive ideas. So instead, they merely defend the right to hold them. You know? If all you argue for is the proliferation of free speech discourse, what you're essentially saying is that, you know, it's not my ideas I'm defending here. It's, you know, it's just my ability to express them, which, sure, okay. Bosh, I never heard you define cancel culture, and you clearly haven't watched much of my content. God knows I've talked about it enough times. Nice. Nice segment, people. Have you done debates on cancel culture? There's not really much of a debate to have because pretty much everyone, like the types of people who argue with me tend to believe that it's true. Far right people believe in cancel culture because their president whined about it 24/7. And when I argue with, like, I guess I haven't really brought it up with other lefties, but yeah. Why does he keep doing this? Caleb, why? I talked to this guy like once, like a million years ago. He tweets about me like every day. It like actually like pretty much every day. Is he in love? I don't even know if he's like Caleb Maupin's like his own thing. Caleb Maupin is just a state media megaphone. Give him the attention he wants, Vaughn. No, we had the one debate. The one debate was enough, wasn't it? I think he got humiliated pretty hard the first time. I thought that was sufficient. My humble opinion. Why have you remained silent on the Tomato Town genocide? Shut up. And not even tankies like him, yeah. He's a fan of Alexander Dugin, the leader of the Russian Nazbol party. Yeah. He's pretty much a Nazbol. Yeah. God damn it. I don't see why it's worse if the government censors the far right than if companies do it, because the government censoring people means they can send cops to your house and they can arrest you and imprison you and steal your money. Whereas a company doing it is just you get banned from an app on your phone. There's a pretty significant difference in severity between those things, in my personal opinion, but, you know. Do you think art and capitalism are contradictory? Art is not so weak that a single economic system could completely eliminate it. No, I don't think they're contradictory. I think that capitalism structures certain types of artistic creation towards very reliably popular sort of formats, like Marvel movies, for example. The problem is big blockbuster films take a ton of money and time and work to make. Same with big video games. I mean, so much, like millions have to go into production, sometimes tens of millions, rarely hundreds of millions. And if you're going to invest that much money in an endeavor, you need to make sure it's going to make money back. That's not just like capitalism. That's just fundamentally, we want to keep, we want to maintain the studio. But certain types of things very reliably make money. It makes it difficult for people to experiment with new things. Now, there have been some deviances from this. There are sometimes very big productions that excel. They don't feel like they're committee designed. But usually it's indie stuff that really pushes the envelope. Some Christopher Nolan films, I felt like he pushed the envelope more than I would expect from a AAA director. I would say that Quentin Tarantino doesn't exactly push the envelope, but the envelope that he's been comfortably sitting in for 40 years is definitely outside what you'd expect from the mainstream. Like, I don't think he keeps pushing it. I just think he has his envelope, and it's a different envelope than the normal envelope, if that makes sense. And it's I like Tarantino films. I do. Most of them, not all of them. And sometimes experimental, forays, they Guillermo del Toro, Wes Anderson films. I'm not a big cinema guy. I don't have like super nuanced takes when it comes to cinema, so I'm not going to give you like some crazy recommendations. But yeah, of course, Wes Anderson films. The Budapest Hotel was really good. I really liked The Isle of Dogs. What was it? Was it just called The Isle of Dogs? I really, really liked that. That was good. Really enjoyed that. I'm actually not a big Christopher Nolan fan myself. I mean, they're fine, but yeah, The Isle of Dogs is really good. I'm not watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier now. I'm not. Indie stuff tends to be really good. Nowadays, indie games are relatively easy to produce, like way more so than before. Oh, Moonrise Kingdom was excellent as well, yeah. I love indie games so much. I love them with every heart, fiber, soul of my being. It's another one of the reasons why I really like manga, by the way, because in Western comics, you usually have 4 people working on a comic, more or less. I'm being a bit vague here, estimating. You usually have a writer, an editor, the inkist, and the colorist. Sometimes you also have the penciler or the pencilist or whatever, the illustrator, and then the inker, and then the colorist, and you have a number of people working on any given project, which means that the project feels a little bit less personal. Manga tends to be done by one person. Sometimes you have a background artist who does the backgrounds, but apart from that, it's usually done by one person, which I think is really, really cool. Some indie games are like that. Undertale, which everyone has seen and played, was made by one person, one single guy, Toby Fox, made Undertale. I think he got some help at some points, but beyond that, like it was a Toby Fox production, and it's a very good game. That I recently played Omori. Omori was excellent, and I think it was made overwhelmingly, at least, by Omocat, and that was good. That was very, 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 very good, in my opinion. Aren't manga creators overworked though? Yeah, but that's because of the publishing schedule for publications like Shonen Jump, not because of the actual problem with the medium. I like it when just one artist makes just one thing. It makes it very personal. You have a lot more editorial control over the tone, the pacing, and it feels like it's a more of a look into the artist. I've always wanted to make a comic. I've always wanted to make a video game as well. I don't know if I'm actually going to make these things, but you know, um, you know what I'm talking about. It's good stuff though. You know, some people ask how would you make movies in a socialist society truly decommodified? Because so I'll be more specific actually. If you're just individually making a little indie film, I think people will continue to do this under socialism. I think people will do it more under socialism. But let's say you want to make an anime or a cartoon. Animation, unless you're doing the keyframes, is a very tedious job. You have sketches and you draw out frame by frame by frame, hundreds and thousands of frames. Many animators, I don't think they want to be doing what they do necessarily. In socialism, how would you get people to do tedious work if there isn't a monetary incentive? And it's a tough question. I mean, do you go the labor voucher route? Are there like broader social benefits to that kind of labor? Are there designations of labor that are less emotionally rewarding, that get treated preferentially? That's a tough one. It genuinely is. Do we send people to the gulag and use their slave labor to do it? No. Yeah, a secondary luxury market would solve this problem, of course. If you maintain the commodification of stuff like AAA movie production, then you could maintain that the way it functions currently, and that comes with its problems and its benefits. But yeah. Can you take a second to describe labor vouchers more? No. I could take an hour to do it. If I knew more, I'd be able to say it more succinctly. Well, anyway. Art is good. It's good. It's good. And that's not how the quote goes. Yeah, I was paraphrasing it. Dumb fuck. All right. Indie art is becoming more and more accessible. That's one of the things that I really like. With the advent of digital illustration, it's easier and easier for people to make comics themselves. It used to be, if you wanted to make a comic, this is what you had to do, okay? Are you ready for it? If you wanted to make a comic, you would have to buy first the equipment. You're going to need a slanted table. You're going to need many large sheets of paper, an array of expensive markers, pens, and pencils, and you're going to need one of those drafting table add-ons that you can use to make sure you're doing lines straight in certain instances. You might want to have it backlit so that you can trace over pencil drawings. Then, after creating all these pages that you would physically draw, you would assemble them and you would send them to a publisher with some specifications on the publishing and the order and all that stuff. And then it gets published. And that was how you made comics. Nowadays, you can buy a tablet for about $60 as long as you have a computer that can run an art processing software. You can make a comic on your own with that, the pen, the $60 tablet, and there are numerous methods of self-publishing that you can use now. An iPad works as well, yeah. Hyena draws on an iPad. Of course, you still need to know how to draw. That's the tough part. But the material walls, the borders, the boundaries between this and that, it's they're much lesser now. The same is the case with video games, by the way. Only recently has there been this explosion in the availability of programs that allow you to create games without buying an engine, like buying Unreal, or licensing it, I mean, or having to be super familiar with, like, coding, you know? Because, and here's my personal opinion, okay? What makes a good game, more than anything else, is creativity. Creativity and a good feel for game design. Not high-fidelity graphical software, not super-duper well-produced visuals, not, like, really complicated coding or game design or anything like that. Take Undertale. Now, Undertale took a while to produce. I'm not downplaying that. Undertale, basically anyone can recreate Undertale's art style themselves. I could do it. If I got hired as a secondary artist for Undertale, I could do that. And having taken a look at the types of coding that they used, Undertale was made in Game Maker Studios. Game Maker Studios is a level below the Unity engine when it comes to accessibility. I feel like with a couple months training, I could probably replicate the quality of code used in Undertale. It would take me a while to do it and test it, of course, but in terms of teaching myself to do it, I think I could do that pretty reasonably. The one thing that I could not do is the music. I'm not a musician. Toby Fox is. Couldn't do that. Here's what else I couldn't do. The creativity. Undertale is amazing, in part, admittedly, because of its incredible music, but also because of the spectacular thought, creativity, the mindfulness that went into it. And that's not replicatable. That, to me, is the thing that I think should gatekeep creative production. The easier it is for people with great ideas to push out their content, the happier that I'll be. Because we're living in a golden age of content right now, in an absolute golden age. Right now, today, I bet that most of the people in chat presently could find a game released within the past week on Steam that they would love. I mean love. Not just they would play it, but they would actually love it. They would adore it if they found it, you know? Of course, finding it's a tough part, but I do believe that. And that's cool. That's very, very cool. Okay, find us it. Oh, yeah, oh, you what? You want to go and stay? Okay, we can look on Steam. Hold on. Let me open up my my account. Let's see. Let me just store. We're going to search. Let's see. I don't actually search via Steam that often. Just give me a moment. Make sure the not safe work filter is on. The not safe work filter is off, which is exactly why I'm doing this off camera. Let me see. Browse. Let's just go by. Hello. Where's my smoothie? Oh, do you want it? Yeah, I want my smoothie. Why do you always assume I don't want the drink when I want... Oh, okay. You have the headphone adapter. Yeah, here. That was on you. Also, there are two down here. Since when have we had two? All right, there. Yeah, I don't know where they are. When's the release date for Alden's game? Yeah, we're working on it. Wait. They rearranged Steam again. They updated it. God, I hate Steam so much. Here, Discovery Queue, new releases. There we go. They change all the... No, don't put me in the Discovery Queue. I want to see the... Hold on. Okay, here we go. New and trending. Let's take a look. Paradise Lust, that's porn. Sakura Forest Girls, that's not porn. Perfect... Okay, we need to filter out the porn here. Tiny Bunny. Oh, that's a horror visual novel. Oh, that's nice. Doesn't actually show the release dates here. Why would you not show the release dates? Sex with Stalin. Yeah, yeah. All right, never mind. All I'm seeing right now is porn and visual novels. Okay, never mind. There are no good things, okay? Never mind. Never mind. Do you actually play horror visual novels? No, I do not, actually. Okay, donos. Vosh, I've never seen the respectable leftist on your channel. Every other leftist show is an asshole. Well, Tron Panda TKS, you probably have a very different set of preferences than I do. Good curation tools for indie games are really important, though, and a hard problem to solve. Obviously, most AI solutions have their issues, but there's too much for any group of people to sort through. That is true. Let me pee real quick, then I'll read donos, okay? All the kids with their pumped up bladders. Jesus. What's up? Read The Penguin, the Leviathan? No, I have not, actually. Would you say Going Under is the best game for a book club, but for games for the chat to play? It's a good game. It's worth playing. That's for sure. Animator Smith, thanks the $5. Most animators make six-figure salaries in the U.S., especially in the VFX industry. They like doing what they do. No, I know. That's my father's job. No, by animator, I mean traditional animation for not VFX. For, anime and stuff like that. It's a pretty brutal industry. Bear Leo's Boy, thank you very much for the incredibly kind $25. Vast majority of manga is studio created. Both the indie scene in America and self-publishing and manga doujinshi are most likely to be solo. Yeah, that's what I was referring to. There's plenty of corporate manga out there. Look at me, I'm not important. Complete Winglock, thank you both for the $5. Really, really appreciate that. So noted. 21st Century Socialist, thank you so much for the 200 Swedish kronar. What policies do you think could make voter ID acceptable in the U.S.? Cheaper IDs, election day as national holiday, more voting locations, so on and so on. We need two things, okay? Free and automatic government-issued IDs, and voting day needs to be a federal holiday. It's that simple. If we had those two things implemented, then I would be okay with voter ID laws as long as you could use that provided ID. Because at that point, everyone has it. As long as it's free and easy to access, I would also be fine with mandatory voting, I think. That's good. Yeah, I liked Untitled Goose Game. I played it on stream. Pseudonym and Ashton Dean, thank you for the $5 both. Evan Pearson with the 59 kronar, thank you very, very much. Those who often study poli-sci does it a way to validate their controversial worldviews? Maybe. I think there are plenty of good poli-sci people. Soviet Ball with the 4 gifted tier 1 subs. Thank you very, very much. Bosch, I know you're a Bond fan. Have you listened to the Kill James Bond podcast that Abigail Thorne does? No, I have not listened to that podcast. Also, I'm really not a Bond fan. My dad's a Bond fan. I've watched most of the movies because of that, but beyond that, I don't really have some specific point. Loaded with the tier 1 sub, Hunger Master. $4. What's my favorite dessert? Chocolate peanut butter cake. Hunger Master, thank you for the $4. Have you decided not to debate Hakeem? Wait, no? Wait, what? This is from April 14th. I'm pretty sure we've talked. Wait, when did we talk? Hold on. No, this is fine. The debate's still happening. Shredgeward, thank you for the tier 3 sub. Love you too, buddy. I really appreciate that. Louis Boy with the 2,000 COPs. Gelatin Skeleton with the 20 Canadian. I don't know anything about the Mark Rubber situation, I'm afraid. Compliment Bot with the $20. I watched Deadwing Dork review Lindsay Ellis's response video to her drama, and it got wacky. He kept blaming BreadTube for cancel culture and brought up Stalin a number of times. Most of us at chat assumed all of BreadTube is ML. Thank God they're not. Who's Darkwing Dork? Deadwing Dork? I'm looking at a YouTube channel, Deadwin Dork. Is this person 164,000 subs? That person? Okay. I don't know anything about this, but Godspeed. I don't know. He's like an edgelord streamer? Oh, okay. Still alive, thank you for the $5. Do you have any opinions on Dave Ramsey? No, I'm afraid I don't. I don't know enough about him to really criticize or endorse what he does. Little Spook, thanks for the $3. I might have missed you talking about Mozambique since my power went out for 3 days. I'm afraid I didn't talk about Mozambique, comrade. You shouldn't be looking for anything. Homerim, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Val Hrafnaz, thank you for the tier 2 sub. You're welcome. L7 Lefty, thanks for the tier 2 sub yourself. And Tyrant Lazuli with the tier 4 sub. Thank you very, very much, comrade. I really appreciate that. Been trying to move my online friends from their bigoted opinions. It's really hard to not just go off on them for being dumb. Your patience will pay dividends down the line. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And Charlie Balloon, I'm sorry to hear you got fired, comrade. That fucking sucks. Yeah. Hold on. Excuse me. Mr. J, I'm afraid I don't watch any Zero Book stuff. What type of smoothie? I do not fucking know, but it's from some fucking vegan shit superfood cafe. Pretty sure this is going to make me like superhuman or something. Briswick and Vodimus, thank you for the tier 1 subs. Clarino, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Howdy, Vosh. Hey, I love you too, comrade. Thank you. I'm glad you like my content enough to consider it. Ryan Nurmi, James Vaughn, and Swag Kage. Hey, Swag Kage. Thank you all very much, the very kind $5. Ben Shapiro was earlier, though, I'm afraid. Thank you very, very much. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the very kind $10. If Vosh was really an equine phallus aficionado, he would know donkeys have much larger slongs than horses, especially for their size. Wait, is that true? Do donkeys have bigger penises than horses? That's not true. No way. Proportionally? Okay, maybe proportionally. Okay. Maybe. And Sake Tanuki with the additional very kind $20. If Destiny has collapsed in the past few weeks, okay, buddy time seems doomed. Also, your post-PayPal window is broken on VGG, and Deadpool is also pan. I don't know what you mean by post-PayPal window, but if there's a bug, you should message White Nervosa. Thank you very much. And yes, Deadpool is canonically panned. Very true. Luis Mario and the Jika Man, thank you for the $5 both. What's your opinion of Biden so far? Better, worse, or about what you expected? Better than I expected, but still bad. Unfortunately, the main thing that we need right now, even from like a centrist-ish Democrat leader, is coalescing the nation's opposition to the Republican Party. As long as Biden continues to play at the both sides, like unification, hold hand bullshit, I'm not going to be a fan of what he's doing. It's very important to me that we denounce them. Little Spook, thank you for the very kind $3. How do you convince people that corporations aren't a gift from the heavens? I don't know. It's rough out here, okay? Barelia's Boy with the $30. Thank you very, very much. Manga recommendation, Bloody Stump Samurai by Hiroshi Hirata. Class-conscious, anti-racist, parable pulpy, no-nonsense samurai manga. Hirata is best known in the West for kanji in the title card of Akira. Oh, well. Excuse me. That's definitely worth looking into. Also, samurai are cool as fuck, so, Can you touch on the pulling out of Afghanistan thing? That's good, right? Here are my thoughts on the Afghanistan situation, okay? Get ready for some nuance. Get ready. Are you ready? If we pull out of Afghanistan, we're probably going to be ceding a lot of territory to the Taliban. But the only reason we should stay is if we meaningfully... So what? Oh, wait, hold on. Let's get some bands here going real quick, okay? All right. So what? Because the Taliban is bad. That's so what. But the only reason that we should stay is if we stabilize the region with our presence, and I don't think we're doing that. That's the problem. You could make an argument for a continued United States occupation if the United States was, like, effectively or reasonably stabilizing, but it seems like we really aren't. I mean, we're just holding, like, the boards up, but we're not fixing anything. So, because of that, it seems like this situation isn't something that we're going to be able to solve. Have you seen Dylan Talk? No, I haven't seen Dylan Talk. If there's gonna be any, like, broader solution to this, I feel like a United Nations peacekeeping force is probably the best shot that Afghanistan has at stabilization outside the U.S. influence. That's a good point, How Rock. Another important thing to keep in mind is that as long as America is in there, the Taliban has a really, really strong recruitment point, which is the continued occupation from the United States. We're also probably going to keep military forces, or mercenary forces there, which is not good. That's worse than us keeping actual troops there. It's worth pointing out, by the way, that the majority of the Afghanistanian population actually wants us to stay there. It's a tough situation. It's a very, very tough situation. It's not Afghani? Maybe Afghani. Is it true? Has it been polled? Yes. Afghani population, yeah. It's pretty rough. Dr. Lenzo18, the Emma Lemma, thank you for the tier 1 subs. Really appreciate that. Sean Koreshowel Buns, thank you for the $10. Happy April 19th, 1993. Let's celebrate Biden for hiring a man who ensured the conflagration, the pyre that made the death trap of my siblings' home in Waco. My dad was a megalomaniac pseudo-Nazarene, but did Senator Biden hire one of the people with who worked for the feds who was responsible for the Waco situation? Is that true? You up to head to the ATF? Oh, he did. I don't. All right, we're a few levels removed from my level of familiarity. Okay, well, Waco seems like it sucked a little bit, all around. So yeah, I would love a take from you on this. No joke. I mean, it seems like the real answer here is pretty obvious. The people at the wake, the cultists were monsters, but the feds mishandled it. Right? I feel like that's fairly straightforward. The PayPal site is down. Let me see. Well, I can't even test it because I can't even test it because it's my own PayPal account. No. Still pulpy. Very unfortunate. Well, if it's not functioning properly, we'll bother White Nervosa about it. Luis Murillo and the Jinka Man, thank you for the $5 both. Zil Buddha, thank you for the $3. Hopeful with the 2 gifted tier 1 subs, thank you very, very much. Kolodic, thanks for the gifted tier 1 sub. Maybe. Hidden Spice, the gifted tier 1 sub, thank you. Hidden Spice with the tier 1 sub, thank you. Boy Meets Mini with the gifted tier 1 sub, thank you very, very kindly. Din1, thank you for the $3. Denepth with the 2 $3 donations, really appreciate that, comrade. Dark Samus, the gifted tier 1 sub. Dendrago with the 5. Comrade24, Dapper House, Sore Bojiden, thank you for the tier 1 subs all. Travis Pierce with the $2. Thank you kindly. Posadashan, likewise. Would you be willing to talk with / debate Aaron from Reeducation, who claims he's tried talking to you multiple times, don't know on what platform? I'm DMing him on Twitter, but I always respond slowly to everyone. It's a flex. Matthew Booth, thank you for the very kind $5. The most frustrating thing is growing up in China. The biggest argument people make against communism is we don't want to be like China. Yeah, well, that's what misinformation does, right? Hugh Brown, thanks for the £5. On indie games, Spirit Swap is a queer-positive indie game on Kickstarter right now, made by a worker co-op. Maybe worth checking out and shouting out. Nice. Spirit Swap? That definitely sounds queer-positive. Reading between the lines a little bit there. Nug Chugger. Thank you for the $3. Austin Brown with the $5. Love you too, comrade. And Sake Tanuki with the incredibly kind $20 donation. Can you blame me, Sake Tanuki? No, you can't. No, you cannot. God. Well, probably best to go and bother White Nervosa. In the meantime, there's some appointments that I need to get to. I still don't know why my camera malfunctioned earlier, but it was super annoying. Well, either way, I love you all very much. Remember, tomorrow we are doing a 2v2 debate, which I normally hate, but I'm okay with it because we'll be doing it with Hunter Avalone. Should be fun. No idea what we're talking about. I have no preparation done, and we're gonna win. That's how it be.